Hi guys, this is another video by Darklink Does Math. The content in this video is geared towards 6th grade math standards. These videos are public so that my students may access this information easily, as well as anyone else looking for math help. I hope you find this video helpful. If you do not, I hope you can find what you're looking for elsewhere. There's a lot of information out there. Be aware that I'm not perfect, so there may be the occasional mistake. I apologize in advance if this should happen. So today we're going over lesson 6.4, real-world problems, percents. So we're going to go over all three types of percent questions that you might encounter, which include finding percent of numbers, finding a percent or calculating a percent, and finding a base or a whole amount given a percent and a quantity. A few vocabulary terms that we're going to go over include sales tax, commission, interest, and interest rates. First one, sales tax. A sales tax is a tax on purchased items it is a percent of the sales price. So a percent of the sale price, that is added on. So if you go to the store and you buy groceries, or you go buy just really anything, they're going to calculate a percentage of that price and they're going to add it on to the price. So let's say you go buy a TV and it's $500. They're going to take a percent of the $500 and they're going to add it on to the $500. So you might end up paying $550 for that TV. Where does that extra $50 go? That sales tax, that's going to go to the city and state and pay for various things. So a sales tax is a percent of the sales price, and it's added on before you're able to leave the store with your items. Our second term, commission. It's a percent of the total sales. So percent of the total sales that is earned by a salesperson. So what does this mean? Well, let's say you have a car salesman. They need to sell you a car so they can get a percent of that sale. That is called their commission. So let's say they sell you a $20,000 car. They potentially will get a percent of that $20,000. I have no idea how much, but that's the way it works. So different businesses work differently, but a common place where you'll find people that work on commission is car dealerships. So again, commission is just a percent of that total sales that's earned by that person. So if they want to make money, they have to be sure that you buy their product. Otherwise, they don't get a percent of that money. Our next term is interest. Interest is the amount of money earned on savings or charged for borrowing money. So the amount of money earned on savings or charged for borrowing money. How is this typically calculated? There are different interest rate formulas. A common one, though, is interest equals the percent of deposit times number of years. Again, there are different formulas, but this is a very common one. So you can find your interest, for example, earned on savings by finding the percent of how much money you put in the bank and multiplying it by how many years there are. Next one, interest rate. The word rate is implying percent. So interest is the amount of money you get earned on savings. So for example, let's say you have money in a bank account and it earns you in 1 month $3. I know, wow. That $3 is called your interest. It's how much you are earning because you have money in a savings account. The interest rate is the percent. That's technically how they're going to decide how much money you get. Is it going to be $3? Is it going to be $20? So that percentage is what they're going to decide on how much you're going to actually earn or how much you're going to be charged for taking out a loan, etc. So interest rate is the percentage of interest gained or charged. All right, our first practice problem. Again, we're going to be going over 3 types of problems: finding a percent or calculating a percent type problems, calculating a percentage of a number, or finding a base. So those 3 types of problems. Our first one. In her last basketball game, Megan scored 18 of her team's 48 points. Our question says, what percent of her team's points did Megan score? So what percent did Megan score? That's what this question is asking. So what type of question is this? Because it has the phrase, what percent, and I'm looking through my story and I don't see any percentages. This means I need to actually find a percent. I need to calculate a percent. I need to make a percent. So we call this a what percent question or a find a percent, not find a percent of a number, because I'm not given a percent anywhere. So I can't find a percentage of anything. I wouldn't even know what percent to use. So we have to make one. So what do you do when you want to actually calculate a percent? Start with a fraction. Our numerator is going to be what you want. That's going to be representative of our part. So what you want is the focus. Our denominator represents our total. So in this question, what do I want to know about? I want to know what percent did Megan score. So what I want is how many points Megan scored. That's the focus of our question. The bottom is our total. Total what? Well, they're scoring points. So I want the total points. So let's fill it in with our information. How many points did Megan score? Megan scored 18. What's the total number of points? Well, Megan scored 18 of her team's 48 points, so 48 was the total. And we want to know how good Megan is. We want to know if she's a valuable player. Well, I have a fraction. How do I convert a fraction to a percentage? Multiply by 100. So 18/48 times 100. So 18, don't forget to type in a fraction on this type of calculator. The fraction bar will be your ABC button. So anyways, 18/48 times 100, we get 37.5. And because we multiplied by 100, it has become a percentage. So 37.5%. Not quite 38% and more than 37. So what is our answer? Megan scored 37.5% of the points. So I would say Megan is a pretty valuable player. She's scoring more than a quarter of all the points. We wouldn't want to lose her. All right, part B. What percent of her team's points did the rest of Megan's team score? So what type of question is this? I don't see any percentages, so it means we're probably going to find one. And we see the words what percent. So this is another what percent question, also known as find a percent. Don't confuse this with find a percent of a number. You can't find a percent of a number if you don't have a percent. Like I can't find 50% of 12 cookies if it doesn't give me 50% anywhere in the problem. All right, so we're going to actually find one, make one, create one. So what percent of the team's points did the rest of Megan's team score? So in other words, what percent did the rest of the team score? All right, first step, when calculating a percent, I would write a fraction. However, do I really want to do that? If I know Megan and I simply want the rest, there's a shortcut. 100% represents the entire team. I can subtract Megan's portion, which was 37.5, and then I can get the rest of the team. So what is 100 take away 37? That's going to be 63. Then you're going to take away a half, and you're going to get 62.5%. Now, could I set it up like this? Yes. What would I want? I would want the rest of the points, which would be 48 minus 18. And then I would put it over the total of 48, and then I would multiply by 100. But this way is much faster and more efficient. So anyways, if Megan scored 37.5, subtract that from the total, 100%, and you get the rest. So what percent did the rest of the team score? We're going to say the rest of the team scored 62.5% of the points. So it looks like they pull their weight. We should keep them, maybe. So these are two examples of what percent or find percent questions. Because we're given no percentages, we have to make one from thin air. So always start with a fraction, multiply by 100 to convert it to your percent that you want. Next question. Stephen and his family had a dinner in a restaurant. The total cost of the food was $68.50, and an 8% sales tax was added to the bill because you always have sales tax. It's going to be added. That money needs to go to the city and state to pay for things, like roads and on. What was the total bill? All right, so what type of question is this going to be? Well, I see a percentage, so that means probably not going to have to find a percent, or this is probably not a what percent question because it gives me one. So this is going to be a percent of a number or a base problem. So let's think about what I want. I want the total bill. So how do I find the total? Well, it's going to be your cost, and then we have to add the tax. So our thought process is going to be, we have our bill of $68.58. They're going to add tax, to give to the city and state and so on. We don't know what that is. And then we're going to get the final or total bill. And again, we don't know what that is because we don't know our tax yet. So that means we need to find our tax. That's our first step. We need to know how much money are they going to add to our $68.50. So how do I find the tax? Well, it's 8%. That means because it gave me the percent of what I want, this is a percent of a number problem. We need to find 8% of the bill. The bill was $68.58. Sorry, yeah, $68.50. Not quite sure what I said. Anyways, we're going to find percent of a number. How do you find a percent of a number? Change your percent to a decimal. So this is going to be 0.08 because we move the decimal 2 times left to convert percent to decimal. Of means multiply. And we're going to multiply it by the base, which is $68.50. So 0.08 times $68.50, we get 5.48. So $5.48 is going to be our sales tax. They're going to add that much money to the bill, and that much money is going to go and be spread to the city and state. All right, so let's go back to our original thought process. We have our bill, $68.50. We're going to add the tax, which is $5.48, and we're going to get our total. So $68.50, add the tax, $5.48, we get $73.98. So what was the total bill? The total bill is $73.98. But Stephen and his family need to consider if they're going to tip their waiter, so their bill might be actually more. They might want to find another percentage of that cost and then add that in addition. Number 3. A pair of shoes costs $52 and the sales tax is $2.60. So they've already told us how much they're going to add to the price. The sales tax is calculated based on the cost of the shoes, because sales tax is always calculated based off of your sales price. We want to know what the sales tax rate is. Remember, rate implies percent, meaning we are going to find a percent. I forgot to write that up here. This was find a percent of a number problem, because we had to find 8% of $68.50 to find the sales tax. All right, this one, we are finding a percent, or a what percent. So this is a what percent or a find a percent question. We have to find it, make it, create it, whatever. All right, so that means we're going to start with a fraction. The top is what I want. What do I want? Well, I want the sales tax percentage. So I want to know about the sales tax, which is $2.60. Why are we concerned about what the sales tax is? Maybe we want to know if we want to live in the city. If the city has a very cheap sales tax rate, we might want to move there because our groceries will be cheaper, the items we want to buy will be cheaper, and so forth. All right, the total. What is our total? Our total is going to be $52. Next step, I would typically multiply a fraction by 100, but this seems a bit off because it's got decimals inside of fractions. No, you can't do that. So our numerator, we're going to move the decimal all the way to the right. It took 2 times. So what we do to one thing, do to the other. So move it on the bottom 2 times as well. Now our fraction becomes 260 over 5,200. Again, we have a fraction and we want to change it to a percentage. That rule is going to be multiply by 100. So let's multiply this by 100. 260, ABC, 5,200. Multiply the fraction by 100. We get 5. 5 what? We were finding a percentage. So 5%. So what is the sales tax rate? The sales tax rate is 5%. And this person's like, wow, I need to move to this city because it is much cheaper. I mean, the place I live in, we're looking at close to 11% sales tax. So this is much cheaper. Although, who knows? Maybe they don't charge enough taxes, so maybe their roads stink. Who knows? Because, taxes can help support better roads and so forth. Lots of things. Anyways, let's move on to our next problem. Mr. Davis earns 3% commission on all furniture he sells. So remember, commission is a percentage of the stuff he sells, or a salesperson sales. So anyways, he needs to sell a lot of furniture if he wants some money. So he earns 3% commission on all the stuff he sells. He receives $2,880 in commission. What is the sales amount in dollars? So what type of question is this? Let's look. He earns 3% commission, and it says he receives $2,880 in commission. In other words, it just repeated itself. It gave us the same information twice. These two things are the same thing. Because it gave me a percent and a number that are the same thing, and because it says what's his sales amount in dollars, meaning it wants a total, so I'm going to add that because we have a percent and a number that are equal to, and we want an original total. That means we need to find a base. So this is find a base type problem. Just going to write that over here. All right, so how do I set that up? Let's start with our percentage. 3% of a number. This number represents our sales, the total amount, our base. It is equal to $2,880. Again, 3% is equal to $2,880. So what do? We are going to divide by the percentage in decimal form. So 3% as a decimal is 0.03. All right, 3% divided by 0.03 is going to be 100%. It always works out that way. So 100% of all the sales, that's what X stands for, is equal to, let's do that to get our answer, $2,880 divided by, well, technically 3%, but 0.03, we get $96,000. So, what is the sales amount in dollars? His sales amount is $96,000. What does that mean? That means he had to sell $96,000 worth of furniture so he could get $2,880. And if that's not enough money to live on, well, he needs to sell more furniture. So again, commission is a percentage of what he sells, and it gave us the percent that he got. It gave us the amount of money he got. So it gave us the same thing. That means this is a base. We need to find an original total, kind of like going backwards. All right, next. Marina deposits $1,500 in a savings account. The bank will pay her 5% interest, which is ridiculously high. Yeah. Anyways, They will do that at the end of a year, meaning 1 year. How much interest will Marina receive? So I want to know basically how much money she's going to get for putting some money in the bank and leaving it there. So first step, we must write our formula. Formulas tell us what to do. Our interest formula that we are using is going to be interest equals parentheses percent of deposit, that means how much money you left there in the bank, times number of years. Next, fill in your formula. Interest equals parentheses, what percent is the bank giving? 5%. Of how much money is she depositing in the bank? $1,500. Times how many years is it going to stay there and she's not going to touch it? It says at the end of a year, so 1 year. Now start calculating following order of operations. First, we do need to convert this to an actual math problem. So 5% of 1,500. So we change percent to decimal, so 0.05. Of means multiply, 1,500. All right, now we can actually follow order of operations and start calculating. So interest equals, parentheses first, so 0.05 times $1,500, we get 75. So parentheses 75, we're going to multiply by 1 year. Last step, there's only one thing to do, 75 times 1, 75. So how much interest will Marina receive? Marina will receive $75 just for keeping some money in the bank and not touching it. However, 5% sounds a little too high, kind of sounds sketchy. All right, or too good to be true. Number 6, a basketball club, because those exist, has $24,000 in an account that has an interest rate of 3%. How much interest will it earn at the end of half a year? So first step, write your formula. Interest equals percent of deposit times number of years. Fill in your formula. Interest equals, they're providing 3% of, they deposited $24,000 in the account, times, it's only staying there for half a year. All right, one more thing before we start calculating. This is percent of a number, so change your percent to a decimal, 0.03, multiply by your base, or the total, and then, again, half a year. Now we can calculate. Parentheses first, so 3% of $24,000, so 0.03 times 24,000, we get 720. And again, it's only staying in there half a year. Last step, interest equals 720 times a half. In other words, I want half of 720 because it's not staying in there for a full year, only half. So half of 700 is going to be 350. Half of 20 is 10, so we get $360. So how much interest will it earn at the end of half a year? It will earn $360 at the end of half a year. One more thing before we go. As you could see, to find interest, we had to find percent of a number. So these were find percent of number problems. And just quick review of the others. Here we were finding a grand total. So this was a find a base problem. That's when it gives you a percentage and a number that are the same thing. in which you divide, and then our other type of problem, what percent, or find the percents. That means you have to actually calculate a percentage. It's where you start with a fraction and then you multiply said fraction by 100. All right, I hope this has helped by giving some examples of how to find a percent, find percents of numbers, and find bases. If it hasn't, I hope you can find what you're looking for elsewhere. Y'all have a great day.